You wake up, not because a phone buzzed, not because an alarm screamed. You wake up because something inside you, something older than language, older than fire, told you it was time. There is no clock here, no sun visible yet through the mist, and still your body knew. This is the story of how your ancestors, for over 300,000 years, tracked every second, every hour, every season without a single gear, spring, or screen. And once you understand how they did it, you'll never look at a sunrise the same way again. Before there were sticks in the ground or lines on stone, the first timekeeping device was already running. It was inside you. Every human being carries a biological clock, a cycle of roughly 24 hours, hardwired into the brain, driven by light and dark. Scientists call it the circadian rhythm today. Your ancestors didn't have a word for it. They didn't need it. They simply felt hunger arrived on schedule. Alertness peaked at certain hour, dimmed at other. Sleep pulled at the eyes as the light faded. Whether or not the day's hunt was finished, this rhythm wasn't a convenience, it was survival. A body that knew when prey grazed, when the cold would bite hardest, lived longer than a body that didn't. Imagine standing at the mouth of a cave 100,000 years ago. You don't check anything. You don't need to. Your skin feels the temperature. Your eyes catch the light turning amber. Somewhere behind your ribs, an ancient signal first. Soon it will be dark. Get inside. That signal had been running, unbroken, for millions of years before a single human tribe existed, still running in right.
But the body alone couldn't tell you what day it was, or how long until the rains came, or when the herds would return. For that, ancient humans looked up. The sun was the most obvious marker. Its rising and setting split every day into two halves, one for hunting and gathering, one for retreat and rest. But early humans noticed something more subtle. The sun didn't rise in the same place every day. It drifted along the horizon, day by day, season by season, swinging north, then south, then back again. This drift became a calendar. Watch the sunrise long enough, mark where it climbs over the same hill or the same rock formation, and you can predict the seasons months in advance. Some of the oldest deliberate human structures on Earth, stone alignments at sites like Newgrange in Ireland, nearly 5,000 years old, were built to catch a single beam of sunlight on one specific morning of the year, the winter solstice. Someone, thousands of years before Rome existed, engineered a stone passage so precisely that only on the shortest day of the year would light pierce all the way to the back chamber. That wasn't decoration. That was a timekeeping machine built from rock and shadow, accurate enough to still work today. And the sun's shadow itself became a tool, a stick planted upright in open ground. What we now call a gnomon casts a shadow that swings and shortens and lengthens with astonishing consistency throughout the day. Long before anyone called it a sundial, someone noticed when the shadow points there, the morning hunt should begin. When it shrinks to almost nothing, the sun is at its highest, what we now call noon. When it stretches long again, it's time to head back before dark swallows the trail. No numbers, no hands on a dial, just a shadow, and eyes trained to read it like a second witch.
When the sun disappeared, the clock didn't stop. It changed form. The moon became humanity's second great timekeeper, and arguably its first calendar. Its cycle, roughly 29 and a half days from full to full again, is so consistent that it's baked into the very word month. Hunter-gatherer groups tracked lunar phases to time group movements, gatherings, and hunts, tied to the behavior of nocturnal or migratory animals. Some of the oldest markings ever found on bone, tally marks carved by Ice Age humans tens of thousands of years ago, are believed by many researchers to be lunar counts, humanity's first attempt to write down time itself. Then there were the stars. Unlike the sun, which is often too bright to study directly, the night sky offered a slow, patient map. Certain star clusters rose just before dawn at specific times of year, a phenomenon called a heliacal rising. In Egypt, the pre-dawn appearance of the star Sirius, after months of invisibility, didn't just mark a date, it predicted the Nile's flood, the single most important event in the agricultural calendar, arriving with such regularity that it effectively set the length of the Egyptian year. Entire cultures built their survival around watching one point of light appear on one horizon at one precise moment. Get the reading wrong, and you plant crops too early or too late, and people starve. This wasn't superstition. It was one of the most sophisticated data tracking systems in the ancient world, one entirely on human memory, patience, and generational knowledge passed down by word of mouth.
Beyond sun, moon, and stars, Ancient humans read time in the world around them. Migrating animals returned on schedules tied to temperature and daylight, the arrival of certain birds, the movement of herds, the spawning runs of fish, all became living calendars, more reliable, in their own way, than any device. Plants flowered and fruited in predictable sequences. Some societies built entire seasonal calendars around which plant was blooming, which animal was mating, which insect had just emerged. A rolling biological almanac written across the landscape itself. Even the tides, pulled by the same moon that governed the night sky, gave coastal peoples a rhythm to fish by, tracked not in hours, but in the rise and fall of water against a familiar shoreline. None of it required writing. It required attention, the kind of deep, sustained observation that modern life, buzzing with notifications, has almost entirely trained out of us.
Eventually, watching wasn't enough. Ancient civilizations began engineering timekeeping into permanent form. Egyptian sundials, some dating back over 3,500 years, divided daylight into measured segments using a shadow casting bar. Water clocks, vessels that dripped at a steady rate to mark elapsed time, let priests and officials measure hours even at night or under clouded skies, when the sun offered no help at all. In China, burning knotted ropes and marked incense sticks measured time by how much had been consumed, letting soldiers, monks, and travelers track duration in the dark. Each of these inventions solved the same problem your ancestors faced at the mouth of that cave. How do you make an invisible, flowing thing, time, visible enough to act on? Every method, from a shadow on the ground to a knot of burning rope, was really the same question, answered differently by every culture that ever looked up at the sky and tried to understand it.
You still have all of it. The circadian pull that wakes you before the alarm, the instinct that makes you glance toward a window when the light shifts, the part of your brain that still faint tracks the moon without you asking it to. For over 99% of human history, there was no clock on any wall, and yet no one was ever truly lost in time. They read the sky. They read their bodies. They read the world moving around them, and they never once needed a machine to tell them it was time to move. The next time you check your phone for the time, remember, for a few 100,000 years, your ancestors didn't need to. They just looked up,